in a spirit of meditation and prayer. After our spoken meditation and a time of silence, we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn number 123, which is also in your order of service. We'll sing first in English and then in Spanish. This morning's prayer is by Lynn Cox, entitled, Bring Us Close to the Earth. Spirit of life, ground of our being, root of unified mystery, growing into myriad branches of expression, bring us together now. Bring us close to the earth, ear to the whispering grass, quietly, attentively, waiting with slow breaths, listening for the very stones to cry out with their rocky stories of tectonic plates, meeting and parting, meeting, their mineral memories of Hadean days, molten rocks flowing and joining their ancient legends of stars born out of the collapse of other stars. Help us to remember. Help us to piece together our oneness with matter, our oneness that matters. With one more deep breath, may we rise, star stuff, walking and rolling across the surface of an impossible blue-green planet. May we join together to heal what is divided. May we find wholeness within, without, among, between. Eternal source, seed of the universe, help us to grow peace. Blessed be. Amen. Our reading this morning is called Earth by Mark Bellatini. This is our earth. It falls through heaven like a pearl in a glass of plum wine. There are no other earths that I know of. There are no other skies that we have mapped. This is our earth. The oneness who gave birth to it remains nameless. There was no midwife then to bring us word of the birth cry. We only rejoice that it is. This is our earth. Ice caps its head, glaciers clasp its feet, warm wind like the breath of a lover breathes around its breasts, mountains thrust up to the clouds, bringing joy. Storms blow across its shores, bringing fear. Silvery fish capture sunlight and bring it down into the deep, as on shore valleys spread with ripening fruit. Cities teem with the poor and disenfranchised in the shadow of golden towers. Children live and also die. Highways throb. Monks sit in silence. Mothers work, crickets chirp, teachers plan, engineers design, fathers write letters. People marry with and without the blessing of law. People cry. They laugh and brood and worry and wait. This is our earth. There are no other earths. Before its wonder, philosophers fall silent. Before its mystery, poets admit their words are shadow, not light. And all the great names religious teachers have left to us, Ishtar, Shekinah, Terra Mater, Suchness, Wakan, Tanka, Gaia, suddenly refuse to announce themselves. And so we too fall silent, entering the time where words end and reality begins. Like I said, I'm going to use technology on this journey, so hopefully it will cooperate with me. Apologies in advance for any trouble you may have with audio or visuals today. We're trying something new together. I was inspired for today's service by environmental activist Joanna Macy. What you should know about Joanna Macy, is that she has a PhD, and she is a scholar of Buddhism, systems thinking, and deep ecology. So she is really interesting because her work intertwines those three areas of study in a unique way: Buddhism, systems thinking, and deep ecology. She's also heavily influenced by what she has learned from 5 decades of activism. Today, I share with you her really incredible theoretical framework for personal and social change, which she calls the work that reconnects. Ooh, it worked. Yay. She says, the activist's inner journey appears to me like a spiral, interconnecting 4 successive stages or movements that feed into each other. These 4 stages are opening to gratitude, owning our pain for the world, seeing with new eyes, and going forth. The sequence repeats itself as the spiral circles round, but ever in new ways. The spiral is fractal in nature. It can characterize a lifetime or a single project. And it can happen in a day or several times a day. So today's service is based on these 4 stages, and I've got some visuals to help us move through them together. Let's start with opening to gratitude. In your order of service, I called this Loving Earth. I recently was cracked wide open to gratitude and rediscovered my love for this earth at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. I went to the aquarium on a break from my minister's conference a couple of winters ago, and as I walked through their jellyfish display, I thought I had landed on a different planet. There were creatures I had never seen before, could never imagine in my wildest imagination, could never create with even the biggest box of Crayola crayons. I'm talking the 152 color pack. Not even in my juiciest of creative spaces could I have dreamed these things up. And these things exist. There in the aquarium, but also in the wild. I walked around those tanks in complete awe of creation. This doesn't do it justice, but I can't take you to Monterey, California. So here are a few of the things that I saw. A bell jellyfish. A blood belly jellyfish. A crown jellyfish. See how those look like a queen's crown? A midwater jelly. You know, these all glow psychedelically under black lights, and that's how they have them on display at the aquarium. Then I saw these other amazing creatures. A pom-pom anemone. Sea nettles. a sea dragon. I thought this was seaweed. Can you see it's actually a little seahorse type guy in there? A coconut octopus. This guy, I don't know what that is. It's like a slug with the best hat in the world on. And this guy. This is called Spirographus, and it's a marine invertebrate. Here's maybe the most beautiful fish in the world, a mandarin fish. I call it a cloisonné fish because it looks like that to me. I didn't see this next one there, but my nephew just told me about it, and it has been voted the world's ugliest creature. This is a real thing. This is called a blobfish. And the absolute cutest thing at the aquarium was when I got to see the otters. They're so cute. I got to see them eat, and it was really the best thing ever because they eat off of their stomachs like a table. Just storing that for later. And they also use their stomachs for other things. So cute. Of course, we don't have to go all the way to California to be simply amazed by Earth's creatures. Right here on Cape Cod, we are surrounded by nature's magnificence. I'm going to try to show a video that my friend Michelle took of the sunset the other night. Uh-oh. Now, back to Joanna Macy. Remember, we're traveling through the spiral of the work that reconnects. The first step is opening to gratitude. I think we have that pretty well covered, don't you? How can you not be filled with gratitude for our earth right now? I am moved to tears by it. The spiral begins with gratitude because that quiets the frantic mind and brings us back to source. It reconnects us with our empathy and personal power. It helps us to be more fully present to our world. Grounded presence provides the psychic space for acknowledging the pain we carry for our world. In owning this pain and daring to experience it, we learn that our capacity to suffer with is the true meaning of compassion. We begin to know the immensity of our heart-mind and how it helps us to move beyond fear. So this next part of the journey is owning our pain for the world. There are some very painful realities that we must face as part of this work of caring for our earth. As part of this journey, this work, this faith, we recognize that global warming is real. We recognize that rising global temperatures are largely due to man-made greenhouse gases. And we can actually now see the changes to Earth due to the global warming and the harm that we've caused to the environment by our lifestyles and consumption patterns and our unwillingness to see the damage and to make changes. We can actually see melting glaciers, rising sea levels, warming oceans, and more extreme weather events like hurricanes, droughts, forest fires, and floods. We can see deforestation. And I have some images for us to look at here in this part of the spiral too. Here's on the left a late 19th century photograph of Alaska's Muir Glacier. It shows many icebergs, some nearly 7 feet wide, in the foreground. Next to that is a picture from 2005, taken from the same spot. By 2005, Muir Glacier had retreated more than 31 miles. The glacier is now completely out of view. There's an abundance of vegetation looking to the west, and the beach in the foreground is now covered by pebbles which came from sediment deposited by the glacier and melting icebergs on the ground. Here's another before and after. The Great Barrier Reef. Considered one of the most biologically diverse regions in the world, Australia's Great Barrier Reef covers around 135,000 square miles, or an area that's nearly the size of Texas. Ocean acidification and temperature increases from climate change are the reef's biggest long-term threat. Warmer water temperatures trigger widespread coral bleaching, when coral turns white and is much more susceptible to death. Coral is vital to supporting ocean life, by the way. And the oceans are not only warming, they're rising. Here's a picture of the San Blas Islands in Panama. The islands are home to the Guna people. Their traditional thatched roof houses and ancient way of life are being threatened by climate change. These Caribbean island communities are now flooded for several days every rainy season as a result of rising ocean levels caused by global warming. In this picture, you see a traffic sign reading "Slow down" that's partially submerged. We now have our first ever climate refugees, as island peoples are forced to abandon their homes and entire islands because of rising sea levels. Part of owning our pain for the earth is recognizing that we Cape Codders will one day almost certainly be climate refugees too. Maybe not us, but our grandchildren or great-grandchildren. This year, the Social Action Committee is focusing our work on climate justice. One of our first offerings earlier this year was a film series at the library. We showed Leonardo DiCaprio's environmental documentary, Before the Flood. Here's one of the scenes that really stayed with me.
We're taking away the ecosystems that normally help us to restabilize the climate. Like oceans, rainforests absorb carbon from our atmosphere. Decades and decades of the forest breathing in the carbon, storing it in the trunks and the leaves and the organic matter. So those carbon emissions are being held safe for us. Until we clear them and light them on fire, it acts like a carbon bomb and releases massive carbon emissions back into the atmosphere.
Wow, this haze is intense, isn't it? The visibility not very good. You can't see anything here. This is scary. This isn't natural, this is all fire. This is not natural at all. I've never seen anything like this. Welcome to
tropical rainforest areas left in the world: the Amazon in South America, the Congo Basin in Africa, and the Southeast Asian rainforest which spans Indonesia. In Indonesia, we're seeing fires being intentionally set in order to create palm oil plantations, which grow the cheapest vegetable oil in the world. It's in cooking oils and processed foods, in your cosmetics, in your detergents. This really cheap commodity is making companies tremendous profits.
The entire documentary Before the Flood, which I can't recommend highly enough, was over an hour long, full of scenes like this. You should have seen us over at the library when the lights came up. We just sat there in mourning for our planet. It's a really painful place to be. But Joanna Macy asks us to stay there for a while, to sit with that pain, to let the pain do its work on us. We actually need to feel that pain and sadness in order to move on to the next part of the spiral. The truth of our inner existence, made real to us by our pain for the world, helps us to see with new eyes. It brings fresh understandings of who we are and how we are related to each other and the universe. We begin to comprehend our own power to change and heal. We strengthen by growing living connections with past and future generations and our brother and sister species. In the spiral of the work that reconnects, this next phase is seeing with new eyes. So I have one more video for you, and I invite you now to witness this visual meditation on the beauty of Earth using new eyes, loving the Earth even more deeply because of both our gratitude and our pain. There are some words at the beginning, but don't worry about reading those. That's not why I chose this clip. And the last step in Joanna Macy's spiral is going forth. She says, then ever again we go forth into the action that calls us. With others, whenever and wherever possible, we set a target, lay a plan, step out. We don't wait for a blueprint or fail-proof scheme, for each step will be our teacher, bringing new perspectives and opportunities. Even when we don't succeed in a given venture, we can be grateful for the chance we took and the lessons we learned. And the spiral begins again. Future generations, if there is a livable world for them, will look back at this important time in history, Joanna says. It is now that we must transition to a life-sustaining society. And our great-great-great-grandchildren, they may well call this time the time of the great turning. It is happening now. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be.